Wake up, good up, it's time to see. The go, the system set your mind free. Normalizing trust on a mission. Exposing frauds, revealing the illusion.
This is the fraud department.
Behind the curve, see through the lies. A master system, open your eyes. For the conscious, for the bold, for the free, we break the chains.
Here go the matrix. Here go the matrix. Here go the fraud department.
Period.
Yay. Welcome back, y'all.
Yay! Welcome back. Welcome to the fraud department. We are finally live. Yay.
Brown said he wants
Yay.
to say hello.
Mr. Brown. Hey, Mr. Brown.
Tapping in. Oh man, we got a lot to talk about today.
Ben. Mr.
For sure. Can you hear me all right? Or is it breaking up?
Okay, I think you had kind of blanked out for a second. Your signal may not be the best, but we'll see.
I'm gonna close my.
I wonder if we'll be able to tell if people are watching. Oh, yeah, it'll say it up in the corner. Okay.
All right, we good. Let's run it.
Yay. All right, fraud department, tap in. What's on the agenda for today? We want to continue our discussion on the American dream. What is it really? I mean, like, is that even a thing anymore? Seems like it's just the American debt.
I think the idea will always live. You know what I mean? Like, you can always have something in your frame of mind, something that's portrayed. But as far as the tangibility of it, I mean, it's always been rare. It's always been rare. It was definitely more attainable at one point, but there's so many traps now that even what's attainable is the trap, is not being able to afford or sustain anything without ownership. Nothing, you don't own anything, from entertainment to vehicles to your house to, everything is subscribed. The software that keeps your life running, security, you have to subscribe to security. And that's why they'd be like, hey, subscribe to this AR, you know what I mean? Like, that is the mentality. So, that's one of the only things. That's why people keep talking. There's a lot of big constitutional talk lately. Constitution is, Constitution that. They sidestep everything constitutionally with these companies and corporations. And so we can talk a little bit about the defense funds, the Palantirs of the world, the flock cameras that are going around, the surveillance. We can get into all that.
Yeah. And I think too, the American dream, when it first started or first became an idea, it was a lot different. It was more about immigrants coming to this country and starting, making a better life. And immigrants are still doing that. But now you have this new landscape of locals.
This landscape of locals. They put that on a t-shirt. That should be
just aren't really.
I could see that being like a name of a brand with a black and white. They do like black and white Forever 21 H&M style graphic tees with the black and white American flag on the back. I remember I had a jean jacket back in the day with the black and white. That was fly back then. You feel me? And I think that's one of the things I'm seeing now in a lot of art. A lot of these musicians, even with the Beyonce, the boots on the ground, there's this revitalization of what it means to be American. And not that black people have ever been apart from that, but we're trying to, hey, we need to stamp this. Immigrants, they're going on stage whenever we win things. Super Bowl, there's all this type of quote unquote acknowledgement of this struggle and this dream that immigrants are coming to, and they think they're going to get when they become Americans or just living here. And it's not real. And that's why people are crying out through a lot of different forms. Like, hey, this is some straight up BS.
It is.
Whether you have money or don't.
Yeah.
Because the system is designed to extract everything from you, and especially your soul. Especially that.
The soul, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Anything that's free or advertised to you as to benefit you without you having to come about anything is going to try to rip that soul up out of you first.
Yeah. There's nobody's doing anything out of the goodness of their heart. They're not doing things in most cases to I just look at things a lot differently than, I mean, of course, when I was growing up, the idea of an American dream, quote unquote, you want to do this and have the house and the kids and the yard and oh, got a piece of hair in my mouth. And it just seems like once you get into it, it just seems like, okay, this is kind of,
it was a grip.
Been there, done that with all the things, the home ownership, the high-end vehicles, the luxury this, luxury that, and it's just once you get there, it's like,
I think the biggest thing that the American dream
just a bunch of debt, honestly,
leaves you honestly unfulfilled is because it doesn't matter if you can't show it off to anybody. The luxury vehicle doesn't matter if you're not sitting in traffic amongst the other non-luxury vehicles or your neighbors that are, able to see your nice lawn and, your driveway princesses, as people say, those big trucks that people buy that don't do any work, they just sit in your driveway looking all pretty. And we just spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and just flood our massive roads with these things. And then wonder why we have so much traffic, wonder why we have no time to do anything. We're always rushing, falling forward. That's one of the things I noticed, and trying to like pause and take that time back. One of the things that you can do is taking your own interest back, you can't idolize and try to pedestalize all these different accomplishments that they've sold to you. You know what I mean? The degrees, like you said, the jobs, the ownership, the quote unquote ownership, because it's not real.
Yeah.
It's not real. A lot of people,
the average person can't afford anything. They can just take on, more.
Most people now, the average age to be able to afford a home projected is like 40. So you're cutting out most of your market theoretically from a housing. I mean, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the housing market. We're going to talk about why it's so inflated. We're going to talk about these home builders that are building moldy homes, building structureless, boneless homes. You might have a boneless, uninsulated home right now if you bought something in the last 8 years, potentially. Yeah. And that's why there's this whole shift where we're going back to retro culture. We're going back to old music, not going back to, but the only thing that's popular right now is old stuff, refurbishing old stories. And one of the reasons why is because old stuff works. Old stuff is reliable. It keeps things moving. That's why old cars are becoming more expensive now, and more expensive relative to what they should be. They're holding value. Things are a couple $1,000s. Back in the day, 10 years ago, you could have got a car for $500 from some places. So,
I've had plenty of
$500 beaters.
$500 beaters. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I had this one. It was a Geo Metro, and it was like it came from a place where
that's what makes America great.
Yeah, people donate cars, and then the felons.
Nobody donate nothing nowadays.
The parents fix up the cars and then sell them. So yeah, a good friend of mine, her husband used to work, help. He used to run one of the shops that did the work with the inmates, or they were inmates. They were there on probation, or just trying to get us, either just got out of jail trying to get a skill. Anyway, it's $500. It was a Geo Metro. It was a stick shift, and when I tell you, by the time I got done with that car, it was missing first and third gear, so you had to take off in second. Like, it was just it was a mess. Anyways, those were the days. Okay, so yeah, so it's just like, and honestly, everything is so overinflated these days with price and things like that. Even if you don't have to take on debt, like when I bought our first Tesla, and paid cash for it, it was not the feeling I thought I was going to have. You know, I thought it would feel, you know, baller. It feels better to pretend that you're balling than
to
it is
drive
to
off
actually
with
to
not having to
actually
pay
spend that
no monthly
money,
payments for
okay?
60 days, like they said on the
Yeah, that
commercial.
was like a good, I think it was like a good 50, 60 racks.
Yeah, now it's like,
I'm
oh, I got to
like,
go
shit.
enjoy this car now. I didn't pay 50,000 up front, and it's like, hold on, 100. Some people
Right.
are spending. The average car price has gone up so far
It's
that
insane. It's
you
insane.
know
I think a Ford Focus is like dang near $20,000 now, just to
$30,000 is now a cheap car. Like to get it at something under 30K is like kind of scary. It's got to be like a Honda Forte, a Kia, you know, a
right.
really
Like you
low
won't
budget
have, like you
Nissan.
said, you won't have any insulation. You won't be protected.
Well, you
You,
know,
I don't
well, I
know if
mean,
you get seatbelts or not, but
well, you might not get engine oil. You might not get no, you know, your car might not come with all the. You might not have no computer in the car. You know, the shortage, all that stuff is going on. So there's really like the sweet spot. And now that we're so far removed from COVID and all the things that happened, we're seeing where it's like this really big shift, and people are like, "Hey, there's a large gap in BS in the market, whether it's houses, cars, anything that you spend a lot of money on." And it's really just not worth it anymore, because what they do is they make things so unbearable, like cars, that you just now want to go lease. Now you want to get in and out in 2 to 3 years, so you're always coming. It's a subscription. They're giving you another subscription. When the housing, they're just forcing you to rent, not even rent to own, build to rent. This is a rental only community. So if you have so many of those, people don't care about where they live, because a big part of the American dream was having stake in where you live, setting up roots somewhere, giving 2 dams and 2 Fs. Now people don't care.
people move into neighborhoods now and
Don't know
don't even know
nobody.
don't even know their neighbors, don't care to know their neighbors. You know, quite
Right.
frankly, it's not about neighborhood and community anymore. It's about
Like a good you know, that's one of those companies that sells this idea, because it's one of those things that's not optional. You need insurance regardless. So they're going to give you all the pizzazz and make you feel better about this purchase that you made that has now gone wrong, because there's a tree in the middle of your house, there's a storm coming through, you got leaks, but at least you have somebody smiling in your face telling you that it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Just like the politicians.
Let's pause there. Let's just, you know, I'll take this time to impress upon those who find their way to this video. You know, most people, you know, as you know, I've spent most of my matrix career in either real estate, legal, or insurance. So it's some combination of those things. So I'm licensed in a lot of areas. I do a lot of things. Okay, so here's the thing. This is part of the American dream fraud. You know, most people, if they knew how much responsibility came with home ownership, I can tell you, I bet you a lot of millennials and people in your age, you probably aren't really going to go for it. They're going to be in the tiny houses.
We're not. That's what the numbers are showing.
What happens is, and this is what happens. They sell you this dream. Part of the dream is that, you know, you get this house. Oh, get you some homeowners insurance. It'll cover you if anything goes wrong.
That is such a lie. That phrase in and of itself is anything is a large statement.
Fraud alert. Okay, fraud alert. Insurance does not cover you. I wish I could make a quick banner.
That is a warranty item.
Insurance does not cover you for anything that happens to your home. Okay, some people think that they can purchase a home and not do anything, not do any maintenance, not take care of it, and that everything's going to be fine. Like you said, insurance is going to cover it. No, insurance is not going to cover it. Insurance is only going to cover, for the most part, sudden and accidental damage. Okay, so if you got a leaky faucet and you let it leak on until, you know, the floor rots out, that's on you, boo-boo. That's gonna be on you. You know what I'm saying? Normal wear, tear, deterioration, and these houses are not being built today the way that they were years ago.
Right.
back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, or whatever. And
What's
so a
also
lot of people are FAFOing. A lot of people are FAFOing, especially when they file insurance claims. Uh, they're finding out, like, for example, one thing that a lot of people are really shocked to find out is that a standard homeowner's insurance policy does not cover flood. If it rains heavy outside and the water fills up, kind of comes in through your front door,
Noah
and
in his ark comes down the road looking for
comes floating down the street, that's not covered under your policy. You might, if you're in a certain area, you might get some partial assistance from FEMA. But FEMA is the agency they're the only agency that issues flood policies in the United States of America. Okay, so if you live in a floodplain, if you live in an area that is prone to flooding, your lender, if you have a lender, will more than likely require flood insurance. Flood insurance comes from FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency of these here United States. Okay, so your
fraud alert.
Allstate, your so, and here's another bit, and I may as well just go ahead and give the people a few tips. Okay, so when it comes to like home ownership and maintenance, if you don't, you have to address things right away. If you start seeing like a spot on your ceiling, let's say you start seeing a spot on your ceiling, right? You can't wait for the ceiling to cave in, okay, before you call somebody or check it out. If you see a spot on your ceiling, no matter how faint or how light, there is something going on. There is something beginning. There is a catastrophe on the way for you. Okay, so please, if you see spot stains, have it checked out, figure out what's going on, where it's coming from, because like I said, if you just let something, leak on, your insurance company is going to tell you good night, Irene, and they're just going, you're gonna get that. Yeah, good night, Irene. They're gonna be like, no, because your insurance, like I said, is for sudden and accidental damage. It is not maintenance. Now you can purchase a you can. So that was great. Once that builder's warranty started running out, I was like, good night, Irene. Take care. Let me sell this. I'm not really going to. I don't want a house or car that doesn't have some sort of warranty. Like you said, these how the company that built our house, Crown, they're not. I don't think they're under that name anymore, but I think they were bought up by D.R. Horton. So
right.
And D.R. Horton, what did you say? Statistically, they build 1 out of 7. What was the statistic? 1 out of 7 homes.
Yeah, I read or heard something that they basically build 1 out of 7 new construction homes. So any home that's being built right now, 1 out of 7 of them is going to be built by D.R. Horton.
Okay.
And the sad part about all of this is that one thing that
what's the problem? What's the problem with D.R. Horton? What do we feel like? I mean, I know that.
Well, the problem isn't just D.R. We don't want to talk about a name. It's consolidation. You know what I'm saying? It's the idea that conglomerates are able to remove the competition, remove the need for actually making a good home and making homes for people, because they're now selling homes to Wall Street as well. And that's one of the big things that they're doing and able to make these large transactions.
Really bad.
So, that's one of the scariest parts about it. But yeah, just that character.
Repeat that. See if you can repeat that again, because I think you blanked out a little bit.
Yeah. So all I was saying was that it's not just about D.R. Horton specifically. It's just consolidation in general. And the idea of having Wall Street owned landlords controlling pretty much everything about your, the loan, how the home was built, materials, and then being able to line the pockets of the politicians and curb any regulation when it comes to the quality assurance, being a factor. So that is something that's happening across all companies. And, we never want to see that when it comes to the place that you're going to spend, your biggest, your whole life paying off, basically going to these people. So, I think in your experience, you can definitely see how that could definitely affect, already turbulent market where people can barely afford and are being pushed into affordability. They're changing the rules to open up, the market to more people that otherwise
God,
wouldn't be
your
able
signal
to.
is really bad, Bubba.
It's bad. I'm gonna try to.
Yeah, you keep blanking out like heavy and then like sounding electronic. Are you on Wi-Fi or what are you on? Okay, there you go. You're back.
Am I
And you
back?
keep freezing. Am I freezing for you or?
Yeah, I just tried to switch to the public Wi-Fi that's here, but I don't know if I'm connected. I'm guessing I'm connected. All right, is that better?
It seems like it. I can't tell till you start like talking and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I'll just start back over. Basically, what I was saying was we don't want consolidation at all. When it comes to the housing market or any business where you're making large transactions and the quality assurance is able to be compromised because of how the business is set up, how it's integrated, and they're able to manipulate so many aspects of the buyer's experience and the life after you buy that it becomes a nightmare for people as soon as they turn key. And it's like mold immediately, like water damage immediately, seeing cracks in the foundation. Like it's things that inspectors would have, otherwise caught. But when they're able to, have so much rich capital from Wall Street, they can make a lot of things happen, including just curbing regulation altogether. And most people that are now first-time home buyers or even second, third time, they just don't know to catch some of these things, and they get all these incentives. That's the other thing. So free washers and dryers, refrigerators, cash
small,
back.
they're things that are very small
Minuscule,
on the scale of what you're.
If you could ask somebody, hey, if I gave you a free refrigerator, would you let me turn you out for the next 30 years? And they basically would probably say no. But when it comes to a house, it's like, yeah. But at this point, if you have no other option than to buy a home made by those people on the other side of town, it's kind of like, what game are you playing? The illusion of choice becomes very deceiving.
And one thing I know that they're offering right now is trying to find the email from one of my lender friends, but they're offering what's getting a lot of people sucked into the new construction and everything that's going on, what's keeping people buying amidst the ridiculous interest rates that are currently popping off is what's called a temporary buy down.
TBD.
They are basically, to me, when I look at this and when I see this, and it's a temporary buy down of the interest. So you're paying for certain periods of time, you're making a payment with a lower interest rate, or either that or they're adding on to the payment or making part of the payment. Let me see. I'm trying to pull up the email that I got from one of my lender friends, because what I asked him was, to me, this seems like, the old school, like just kind of a new spin on adjustable rate mortgages, ARM 2.0. And if anybody's familiar with the adjustable rate mortgages, that's pretty much kind of what caused the market to crash in the early 2000s. And because essentially what happens is you get an adjustable rate, and let's say for the first 5 years you're going to make a certain payment. Let's say you're going to pay $1,000 a month for the first 5 years, based upon, let's say, a 3% interest rate. Well, when that time period ends, they're going to adjust the rate. It's called an adjustable rate mortgage, and you know how it goes. They're not adjusting that rate down.
Right.
It's not going down, it's going up. So now you have qualified for a house, qualified for a mortgage based upon this 3% interest rate, and now you turn around 5 years later and you have a 5% interest rate. Well, your paycheck probably didn't go up that much, because 2% on a mortgage loan is quite a bit of is quite a bit of money per month. So but yeah, let's see if I can find this email.
And that's not even factoring in property taxes. It's not
Yeah,
even
so how
factoring
does
in,
this
some type of loss of income. Don't let you be working for, Spirit. Don't let you be working for Spotify, Google.
okay, so yeah, so in just 3 years, your payment's going to go up at least $300. And like you said, that doesn't include the increases to your homeowner's insurance and the increases to your property taxes. Those things also go up every single year. And I can guarantee you that your hourly wage job is not increasing your, even if you get an annual increase, most employers give you something for cost of living. Allegedly, but it's not enough.
Like
It's
Kendrick
never
said, it's
enough.
not enough.
It's never enough. So
Yep.
I'm trying to find.
Yep, that gets into the next conversation of 50-year mortgages, 40-year
Well, that's not.
mortgages. These
Let
new
me pull
things
up
they're
this
trying to
email. That's okay.
introduce.
We'll find it. The
So
whole home ownership
they
thing
must
is
start
really
over.
not what it's cracked up to be. It's if you have a partner, husband, wife, whatever you may have, you're going into for this home based on a 2-income household. And most people are going to maximize what they can get. Most people don't want to live below their means, or what they've determined their debt to income ratio, put it like that. And so what ends up happening is that if either person takes a hit or either loses income, like if anything shifts, there's any, if anything becomes unstable, now
It's very narrow.
you've
No
got,
margins.
yeah. And it's so easy to get into a trap. And then, half of Americans get divorced. So half the people, somebody's going to have to afford that house. Either you're going to have to sell it, or you're going to have to, figure out who's going to keep it, who can afford it, on their own. So, when I deal with real estate clients, I always recommend qualifying for a house on one person's income, one somebody. And then also too, that way it leaves space open for, if you are a couple or some sort of duo or pair, if one person holds the mortgage debt, it leaves room and space
But if
open.
it ain't a pair though,
if you want to, well, then you just have to do what you have to do. I'm just talking about how people.
I'm saying, what if it's a trip? What if it's a trio?
Oh, that's not.
But think about it. That's what they're pushing everybody.
That's the Fraud Department After Dark. We'll talk about poly.
Oh, they're like, you got to live with 3, 4, 5 people just to afford life nowadays. Like, your average college age person, like, 5, 6 roommates just to be able to afford life. And at that point, it's really like you got a bunch of people boxed up, crammed into spaces. It's kind of reminding me of a certain, country and place 80 years ago.
That would be
the ghetto. I'm talking about the ghetto. And then at that point, it's so much easier to manipulate and control people when they have little control and say over the options that they have or think they have. And so I think in America, where we were coming out of that phase when it was very important and necessary for people to buy in to that idea and to fill out, to spread, to keep expanding economic growth. I think at this point, we're definitely at a point where I'm not going to say that's not needed, but it's going to come in different forms. They need to extract. So now that there's so many people here, there's 8 billion people on this planet. They need to find new
I don't
ways
know.
to continue to extract
You said we're
capital.
definitely at a point where you had blanked out.
I was saying we're definitely at a point where they no longer need us to buy into it. They just need us to not fight it. And so I feel like at you know, at a certain point, it's like it's either going to be pushback.
I mean, we can't
or
fight it because the American dream requires subsidies. The American dream isn't just happening. I mean, it requires subsidies and it requires the government to support this dream. And, you know, in a lot of cases, providing down payment. You know, it used to be when you purchased a home, you
That's
had to
true,
have
yeah.
that 20, you had to have that 20%. You had to be solid. Okay. You had to be solid. Solid as a rock. Okay. But now you can get 100% financing, down payment assistance, all the things, like, you know, just to
All the
kind of
things.
hold you up in that space. So the American dream is really just a fraud. It's really just a fraud of a bunch of people who can't really even afford where they're living and what they're doing, or either that or they're completely house poor and they can't, you know, and just, you know, the debt just keeps piling up. You never see, like, most people, like, it's very rare that you find somebody that actually alleviates all their debt. Like, once you start piling it up, once you become an adult and you start adulting and you start doing things, it's like you get bigger, you know, the debts just get bigger. You know, it starts out with just credit cards and, you know, little things. Then you're getting cars. Now you're getting houses. I mean, you're mortgage, mort equals till death.
Education.
Yeah, mort means death. Mortgage, rigor mortis, all that. It's this, it means till death. That's what the word mortgage means, till death. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want that anymore. I'm okay. You know what I mean? I'm okay with, you know, letting it be somebody else's problem. I'm okay with, you know, when the toilet's running or whatever, I just call somebody else. Like, people think that there's so much equity and there's so much, but like, unless you're paying cash for a house, it's fraud. The whole
I have a question though.
is fraud.
While that may be your personal opinion, or that may be your experience now as someone who owned a home, do you think we should be at a place where everyone pretty much should be priced out and there should be pretty much no private ownership, quote unquote, of single family homes?
No. I absolutely believe that, you know, if that's what you want to do, go do it. I mean, even if it's,
because I think what we're trying to get at.
No, go do it.
Yeah.
I think that we are flooding the market with, like, I just think that we're flooding part of the reason why we have this substandard product now is we're flooding the market to people who really can't afford it. If this was back in the day when people were solid, you had to have your 20% or whatever, you had to, you know, I mean, you had to have some, you know, some money in the business, some savings. They were making quality products. So now, and that kept everything, you know, kind of where it needed to be. Now, like you said, I think in the last podcast, scarcity creates room for the black market. Like, I feel like all these people just coming on, just throwing up houses, building stuff. It's like the black market of housing, because it doesn't last. It's not going to, yeah, these houses are falling apart. Okay. Like I said, I work in insurance, I work in property insurance, and these houses are not built for anything. The walls are paper thin. Products are, I mean, half the people are in there dying. They got asbestos in half the stuff. If you bought a house in the 60s and 70s, it's probably full of asbestos. So it's probably giving, you know, it's so much. It's so much. You know, it's like, I admire those who decide, you know, like with, you know, the people who raised me, you know, they took whatever, they built their own home. You know, people don't build their homes anymore. They just go get a home off the shelf. And I think that is,
you know, the shelf is dusty and contaminated.
It just brings down the quality of, I'm not going to say the experience, because when you're going through home ownership and you're buying a home and you are so excited, I mean, it feels so good to accomplish this thing. I mean, it is like everybody's posing online with their keys, and until later. Okay, it's not until later and down the road. You know, that feeling, just like everything else in America, that everything is temporary, that fleeting, everything is emotionally. It's like these emotional highs they put you on, and then it's just fleeting, because when you have to call that first handyman, when you have to call that first HVAC because the heat ain't on, and you know what I'm saying? We spent the whole winter going back and forth up to the attic, you know what I'm saying? Manually
For a
having to cut the heat
switch.
on because
For a switch, not because something broke mechanically. Something simple as the trigger between what temperature it is downstairs and upstairs could be the difference between you
something
being
with the
hot.
dual zone. Yeah, something with the dual
Yeah,
zoning.
because things is too complicated.
It was like, okay, you know what? We just gonna turn the oven on. Okay, we just gonna turn the oven on. And heat the house.
Let your oven not work.
Our
Let
times,
your oven not
our
work.
times.
Right.
We turning the oven on. I mean, and that's the thing. We in a 3,000 square foot 5-bedroom house on an acre of land, and we turning the oven on to heat the place because
To heat 2 people, by the way. Two
and
and a
dog.
half. 2 and a quarter.
That was
Whatever it
insane. That
is.
winter was insane, but whatever.
Well,
It
people
is
have
what
done
it is.
crazier
So,
things.
yeah, so you know, and especially, and like you said, what if you're not a duo? What if you're more people, but what if you're less people? You know, when you're a single person, I'm very happy. I love condo life, you know, especially as a person who's on the road, not really home that much. I really love condo life. I think I think that more people like. I think that when you were asking me what should we do, should we not buy houses, should we not do X, Y, Z, I think that we need to move back towards more of like it basically it puts, you know, if something happens to the building, it's on the association and all the resident, you know, and everybody to pull together. I just feel like to me, and I feel and we are moving towards this, I feel like, in our culture at the moment, towards a lot more shared things, you know, and then the Ubers and the DoorDashes and, you know, shared economies, I think it's called. I forgot what the actual a sharing economy, is that what it's called?
Using everybody else to pay for it.
You know, I'm gonna use your car.
Yeah.
You know, I need to get somewhere, so I'm gonna rent your car instead of going to Enterprise. You know, I'm gonna rent your house, the Airbnb. I'm gonna rent your house instead of going to this, you know, this hotel or whatever. So yeah, it's probably it's probably better for most people. But condominium living requires a respecter of persons. So, you know, you have to be willing
And patience.
Yes, you have to be willing to recognize that other people live near you and maybe not blast your music, maybe not, you know, smoke your dope all day and fill the hallways with marijuana and, you know, things of that nature. So speaking of marijuana, I think we had something on the list we were going to talk about. That's another fraud. Let me put the fraud alert banner up here, because the whole marijuana industry, you know, it's an interesting thing. Or yeah, the cannabis industry, it's an interesting thing. It seemed like, so at whatever point prior to 420, there was all this push for it, all this hype, all of this pushback, all this legislation. You know, they were
all the proposed legislation. A lot of much didn't happen.
right.
You know.
Right. There was all of these promises, all of these I think even within like it's like they kind of promoted it like, you know, legalization means freedom, or like, you know, like this is going, you know, people who are voting it in as legal are thinking that, okay, I'm going to be able to just, you know, I mean, like, cause, you know, when you think about alcohol, okay, the beer and alcohol, wine and spirits industry, I don't think they have the same type of drama and red tape that, and problems that they give to the cannabis industry. So, where you had all these people who thought it was just going to be great. They start growing. They start, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's trying to get in the mix. Now you have like these massive licensing costs, regulatory burdens, banking restrictions, like some banks, a lot, some lenders and things like that. Whereas you would get normal financing for your small business. They won't lend to those types of industries. As a matter of fact, I don't think even, I think insurance companies will not insure where it's being grown. Like there's something with that too. Like you got to get special insurance. You got to get or you just got to have cash. Because then there's, the high taxes. It's just insane. It's like, do you not want, like, either let us do it or don't. But saying, okay, you can do it, but then you got all these other things, all this red tape, all this BS. And then, and what I don't understand too, is you have a lot of places that, okay, it's not legal, but it's not illegal. What does that mean?
So that's where we get into the conversation.
It's like the weird
legalization and decriminalization, where we have to talk about how these laws that are written are being enforced and the punishments that are deemed appropriate for them. And so one of the things that a lot of these jurisdictions do.
Start that over, because it's like every time you start talking, it breaks up for a minute and then you come in good. So just start that again real quick.
That's where we get into the conversation of legalization and decriminalization. So when you have these laws that are being written and proposed and are being enforced, there's going to be a lot of variability in how, why, and when you may get, the book thrown at you for some of these things. And so with cannabis, a lot of the things that people talk about is why people are in jail while people are making millions and hundreds of millions of dollars off of the same thing in the same state. So it's like, okay, well, you didn't have the insurance and the right to do it. So, it's like we're giving up our right to be able to have access to heal ourselves, to explore in the name of what? Safety, in the name of protection, in the name of insurance, all these things. And then you turn around and it's like, okie doke, sorry, that's not really why we did it. And so you brought up alcohol. One of the reasons that a lot of legalization or quote unquote, legislation is being passed to support the industry is because of the alcohol industry and some of the other vices that are really prevalent right now that see cannabis and other forms of quote unquote medication as threats. As less people are drinking, more people are focused on health, wellness is becoming a thing. So a lot of these companies that sell beer and alcohol are also selling non-alcoholic beverages because they see the shift taking place. And so there's only so much manipulation you can do in legislation, whereas customer behavior is just going to take over. And so people can't get it.
The alcohol industry, weren't they making hand sanitizer during COVID? Didn't they stop? Didn't they switch to me?
I don't know. I mean, probably. I would make toilet paper if they told me you were going to buy it, when there was no toilet paper on the shelves. So, where there's a will, there's a way.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so.
The cannabis industry is one that has been riddled with loopholes and strategies to try to curb legislation and enforcement. And so one of the things that we're seeing is a lot of these underground, quote unquote, underground dispensaries that are like smoke shops.
It's like the hemp loophole.
Right. And so the Farm Bill of 2018, I think, was when they were able to find a loophole that basically they're focusing on criminalizing the compound that is in cannabis, but not the plant itself. And so the idea is that if you can sell something that doesn't have that active compound in the form that you sell it, it can be legalized or I guess it's legalized, as in you can sell it, but then they took that back in some states, Texas, for example.
Yeah, it's like
Georgia.
it's legal, it's illegal, regulated, and federally prohibited all at the same time.
All at the same time. And then there's research being done on it, but you can also get a medical card and you can also get it delivered to your house within 2 hours.
You can order it online.
In some places. So, but one of the things that's hurting the legal cannabis industry that is really sad is just like you said, the red tape, the taxation. States like Colorado and California are known to really, stick it up the dispensaries behinds, because not only do they actually handle the small and large quantities they have to sell, they have to transport, but also, like you said, insure. They have to, hire their bud tenders.
And don't forget the investors who got scammed, right? There was all these like cannabis stocks, cannabis ETFs, startups.
Yeah. So those things are still a thing. A lot of those companies, most of those companies have not made a lot of money, if any at all. A lot of their banking and a lot of their increase in value was right when they were talking. I think it was February of 2022 or 2021. Somewhere in their post-COVID era that they were talking about legislation. It was getting some momentum in the Senate, but it fizzled out. And so, as long as there's no federal legislation, it's going to be hard to get any big money out of a lot of these, out of the industry. And so, they're going to stay in this black market, like you said, operating off cash, operating off all these extra fees, and they make it such a hassle. People aren't going to support it. So it kind of is this self-inflicting cycle where we're going to stab ourselves and complain about, and not that the industry itself is doing that, but the people that govern it. And so it's not surprising at all, but it is tough when there's a lot of potential, and it's just so confusing. I feel like as anybody that, whether you smoke weed, whether you want to just use it for medicine, whether someone's telling you about this therapy, it's like, what do? I can't get caught with it. I can't sell it. I can't post about it. I can't tell nobody. Right. You know what I mean? So
it's like it's still kind of on the black market, or it's still taboo. You know what I mean? It's like, even if you're in a state that's, say recreational, it's like you see the people coming out and they tuck in their bag and they
right. And it's not even like you said, being in a state, people travel, like it's like, if this is, especially from a medical perspective, like focusing there for a little bit, like imagine being able to say your Ozempic is only allowed in your county.
It's like, and that's part of the point, part of the fraud of the quote unquote American dream. It's like your dream or whatever's going on is only good state to state. I mean,
it's fragmented.
It's very fragmented. There is really no American dream. I mean,
but no, even think about it like this. Even in your own city, think about like this. If you live in the Atlanta dream, you're living in Buckhead, you're living over here. If you drive to the wrong club, if you drive to the wrong part of town, you want to go get you some good food, you want to go to the barbecue. You can't leave your car out. You can't leave this. You can't. You know what I'm saying? Just hang out without being harassed in some places. And this has nothing to do with racial. This has to do everything with just being quote unquote profiled. It's like, hey, you shouldn't be here. So you may be harassed more as someone living a luxurious lifestyle by locals, by the people that enforce the locals. Just like, hey, you shouldn't be here. People will tell you that.
Like, you better keep that lifestyle over there, because somebody's gonna come to take it from you. And
you're gonna give me more work to do.
Another point is that it's just what it is that karma. I mean, we came over to America and just took the whole land, took the whole country from the people who were here.
All of it. We gave them the most undesirable property possible. They say, here, you can take these mountains, you can take this little desert over here in the corner, you can take, you know what I'm saying? And we still go come and rape your land and pillage and do whatever you want to do. Side note, this is just real quick. I remember I was learning about this this magical cactus that is really like prevalent in indigenous culture and has a lot of medicinal properties. And it became a fad, in the hippie space back in the day. And people just started harvesting it and collecting it to the point where there's almost none left. And this is something that's, really sacred to a lot of their rituals, annual things, a lot of healing. It's a psychoactive, thing. So, think along the lines of maybe like a DMT, a mushroom. And so it just really goes to show that there's never going to be any protection because they are sovereign. So think about having to get your federal government to step in and protect some indigenous plant that we would probably just classify as illegal based on the ignorance and not understanding how it works. So, the American dream is fundamentally built on someone else's nightmare. And I feel like that debt, that karmic debt, that unhappiness that a lot of us experience, that vapidness that you get when you make it to the top of some corporate structure, is a direct reflection of what it's built on: dead, stones, graves, blood, sacrifice, war, like fossil fuels, all of the things that make America great. Drill, baby, drill. That's what they sold us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now think about one of the industries that made America great: trucking. Trucking is one of those things that the identity of what it meant to be American, I feel like for a section of time, like when they started building the interstate highway system up until maybe like the 80s, 90s, people were able to make
it was the railroads. It was actually the railroads that made America great, that really allowed us to develop and have transcontinental,
of course.
And, yeah.
But then the trucks are able to then take it the last few miles and get it off those, it made it more accessible. Anyways, there's going to be more people driving trucks than can ever operate the railways. And that's just based on, basic numbers and infrastructure. But they were able to create these laws and systems in the trucking industry that made it basically impossible for anyone to enforce and maintain some minimum wage. And not that it's necessarily about minimum wage, but the pay overall just took a sharp decline. And especially considering the quality of jobs that are decreasing, the type of companies that are doing the hiring, and how the biggest deliverers, Amazon, Walmart, structure their third party and contractors. So long story short, we get to the point today where we have companies like Aurora and Tesla building self-driving trucks that are supposed to somehow make trucking great again and make the job better. And so when you're able to really see something like just a bold-faced lie, the bold-faced straight up, like, yeah, this is for you. It's crazy. It's crazy. And, it's one of those things that we're not going to be able to stop. The downhill momentum is too strong. The money's already there. It's really just about how do we balance it and somehow come out on the other side with, people with some sanity that want to still buy into this.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't really stop it, because even a lot of these companies, like, even if you just stop participating, if you just stop buying things, they're going to pivot. They're going to switch. They're going to do something else.
The EV thing was a big thing in the car industry that basically has shifted and stalled a lot of the biggest companies. Not the Toyotas and the Hondas and the Nissans. I'm thinking the Dodges.
That was a huge scam. The whole EV scam, and they said, by now they had said
supposed to have
by now everybody was supposed like EVs were supposed to be mandatory, right? And these were going to be so great for the environment and all this, but they are irresponsibly sourcing these batteries, the lithium, the cobalt, whatever it is. They don't have methods for
repair, reasonable repair
for disposal. They don't have, that lithium is bad, really, really bad for to just let it sit in a landfill. Like, it's really, really bad for the earth and all of this. So whereas they kind of sold a lot of people on help Mother Earth, and all these things.
What they actually didn't really just sell people on that. What they sold people on was $7,500 back on a tax refund that has now been canceled by Donald Trump and has now pretty much rendered Tesla's profit margin null and void. F-150 Lightning, no mas. I mean, they're still going to make them, but there's the Ford Mustang, the Dodge, whatever their new Challenger Charger type electric car is. They're having to reshift and repackage a lot of these. They built the outside, and now we're going to put a gas-powered engine back in it. Why did you make the electric one to begin with? Nobody wanted that. And you're pricing people out of it because they don't have a mode or a model for recycle and repair and keeping these things on the road. Like I said, they're trying to shift a lot of people towards leasing these vehicles. Another thing they want to do is get those old cars that you have, those 2012s to 2019, 2020s. They want to get those back into their hands so they can get those parts. They can then get those parts and sell them back to you for your car that's going to break that you just bought. So there's this
and
whole
and the thing that, and that's what
circular
subscription
economics.
means. Subscription, they're trying to get everybody into this subscription vibration, and what subscription basically means is that you never
Sometimes.
own the thing, and you pay
Right.
a lot more for it because you're paying for it over and over and over to keep using, you know, versus just buying your own or
I
purchasing,
remember
you know.
being a kid and going into our drawer under our TV and having hundreds of DVDs, whether it was bootleg, authentic, Blu-ray, scribble scrabble on them, official. There was just so much entertainment that was at our fingertips that we owned as long as we had a TV and electricity. Now everything is housed on different platforms. Everything is fragmented. You can't get it. You can't save it. You can't keep it. You don't own jack diddly squat. Nobody has
cut
cable.
off. It's getting cut
No
off.
more
You
on
gotta update your
man.
payment. Update your payment. Oh.
Now there's ads on everything that didn't have ads. And so, you know, Netflix, oh my God. Netflix used to be $8.99 for the full thing, one tier.
No, I think it was $7.99
And they had
when they
everything.
first started.
Yeah, $7.99. And now they've gotten to the point where they're $8.99 for ads, and you don't even get, I just learned, you don't even get access to all the streaming options in movies. There's 150 different movies and shows that you just won't see on the basic model. It won't show them to you. Like some of the big Disney movies, some of the
So you just
you don't even have access to the whole
you get
app no
Netflix
more.
Lite. Netflix Lite.
Netflix Lite. So
and that's
now,
the thing, that's the other thing too, is subscriptions, and then the way they get you is tiers to the subscriptions. Okay, that's how they
but what they
that's how they
do is something like a Netflix, which was the first of its kind, and not the first of its kind, but basically the first of its kind, was able to have
Speaking of,
everything.
we'll put
They
this
had
whole thing-
Seinfeld, Friends. They had all these different they had all these different shows that they spent hundreds of millions of dollars on. But those companies that own the rights, they just made their own app. So now you got the Paramounts, the Disneys, the HBOs. So now the average household is spending $100 on streaming, which all in all ends up being more than what you were spending on cable.
Yeah.
So it's like
I remember,
the
I think
circular
what,
problem.
2017, I think we let cable go in like maybe 2017, and then it was like
Maybe a little
Hulu,
earlier
and then
than
it
that.
was
Like
uh,
yeah. But
and
but
then
back
it
then,
was-
the earlier of the streaming era, there was less apps. So most stuff ended up on one of the 2 or 3 apps that were relatively decently priced. But people were also spending cable at that time too. So the budget was pretty much in that same. Now there's no cable, and all those apps just fill it in, but it's so confusing. And so that's one of the things people are struggling with as sports fans. If you live
you
in a
gotta
city,
play Bobby Fair. Where Bobby at? We gotta play Bobby.
yeah, we'll pull up some Bobby Finn.
He's got one of
but
those,
Basically, one of the big things too is people are struggling to even figure out how to watch the team that they're local to that may be playing 20 minutes from their house, because the rights have been sold to ESPN, ABC, Fox, CBS, Amazon, Peacock. Like, I'm not joking. These are one team can play on 20 different
Roku.
platforms.
Roku.
Roku. Well, Roku is like Roku. That's a whole nother conversation. Oh man, where's the Bobby Finn at, man? Where's the Bobby Finn?
I'm recording my podcast with my son right now. I'll talk to you later. Give me 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. Had a visitor. Yeah, so yeah, everything is insane. The amount of, let me try to pull up that Bobby Finn one.
And now one of the things that people aren't talking about a lot, but I think is really fascinating, is now the Netflix originals. You remember how Netflix, they had some bangers, you know what I'm saying? They used to drop. And they still do, but now they're creating what is known as Netflix slop, streaming slop, which are basically these filler Netflix original shows and movies that are meant to be watched in the background while you do your dishes, while you do your other chores in the household, or scrolling on your phone. So now what they're asking directors, writers, and producers to do are make it second screen friendly, which basically means that the artists, not the artists, but the actors and anyone that's in the movie needs to actually voice out what they're doing. The script needs to be so blank and clear that you can follow along without seeing what's actually happening. And so they're making it basically dumbed down versions of these stories and movies and ideas that are becoming so, I guess, brain rot worthy. The theory is that they're conditioning all of us, the viewers, to expect less to not understand the difference in quality. And so that way they can keep producing low budget quality films that we'll continue to pay for without any question, because we're just wanting to be mindlessly entertained, lulled to sleep like a bunch of sheep on the way to the slaughterhouse.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really, I was like, yo, that makes a lot of sense. If they decrease the quality over time and fill it in with a bunch of their stuff, because they're not paying as much for licensing anymore. Most of that money is being spent on their own production, and the quality is lower, but you're used to it. You get hooked on these originals. You get hooked to these shows, and some of them are good, and they keep you hooked on the Stranger Things. They keep you hooked on the Ozarks, you know, the stuff that we love. But then you get stuck with a lot of these BS foreign voiceover films where it's just like, okay, you know, we might as well hit the Tubi, because at least you're getting entertained by how trash it is versus, hey, they all just took $25 out of my account this month for this, and I don't even watch enough of this stuff. So a lot of people are backing out. A lot of people are really, you know, that's the only way you can vote is with your dollars. So don't buy a new car. Stop giving money to all these streaming. Piracy is the new, I'm not gonna say it's new, but more people, more of the average person are accepting the reality that piracy is the only thing that makes sense at this point. Because if buying is not ownership, then piracy isn't stealing. That was a quote from one of the videos I saw, and I thought that was a genius, because it's like, well, all you're telling me is that I can rent it anyways. So if I just get it off this other place for temporarily, especially when it comes to live events, because that's why sports is such a good example, because the live thing is the only thing that holds weight. Most of the streaming ends up getting sold, the rights get transferred multiple times. A show can move between different platforms, maybe 5-6 platforms over the course of a decade, depending on how much it gets shopped around and how long the deals are. So, you know, at this point, it's like, what can you really expect? And what are you really purchasing?
Right.
To be advertised to, which is crazy. I'd rather risk a virus on my computer for free to watch everything off of abcmovies.com, whatever the new site is. You know.
Right.
So, you know.
He's got a video here that says if I was on Cameo.
If you're on what?
He says if I was on Cameo, yeah. It just one of his videos, you know, he has a little caption kind of thing. I've never watched it. I'm gonna watch it. I was looking for the video that he did.
I mean, we could even take this conversation into food. You know what I'm saying? You know, he had a video about about DoorDash and just like the Uber Eats, Grubhubs of the world. Like, you can't even get your food without somebody else in the middle getting some money. Like, it's almost impossible to order food. You know, like you really got to get the phone number and call in like the old days. If you want to get the base price for whatever food costs, no convenience fees, no extra taxes, and, you know, handling charges.
I mean, that's the thing. If these are convenience fees, you got to get up and go get your food. Go sit in, go stand in line, or go whatever, place your order. Yeah, you have to go do that. So it's kind of like.
But now you have less time. So think about this. You're creating a world where people are more sped up. They need everything right now. They want to drive through, walk through, pick up, drop off, touchless, contactless. Everything needs to be less humans involved in every aspect. So it's like, you go pay more, dog. It's crazy. You have less human contact and you're paying more. Like, how does that work? It don't. Because these CEOs, man, these people are making so much money. They're making so much money. It's laughable. It's laughable.
Right. Oh, yeah. This is probably one of the funny. Hang on one second. Let's see if we can play
this.
I
found the NFL one if you wanted the Bobby Fincher.
Okay, hold on. Speaking of funny, let's see if I can get this showing.
You want to sign up for our credit card program? You'll save 10% today. What's the interest rate? It's 25% of an hour. But if you pay it off every month, you won't have to worry about interest. 25% of an hour? So 15 minutes. You pay with time. Physical labor, to be exact. Wait, what? Sorry I'm late. The traffic back there, boss. It was so bad. Save it, Jim. Now you owe a late fee of 1 hour plus your minimum payment of 45 minutes. Oh, please, come on. I can't really want to pay off your state balance. The hours, minutes, and 9 seconds. I don't have the time today. Go resurface the driveway. Don't forget to seal it. He's a credit card member who's making his minimum payment today. Oh. We working or are we talking over here? Oh, I was just telling this customer about the credit card benefits. Free lemonade whenever you shop at one of my yard sales. Cheers. Wait. He manages the yard sales to pay off my credit card. Oh. That's why
This is where it gets funny.
But I fell behind on the payments. That damn compound interest. See my patio with the gazebo? Yeah. I built that. And my kid's jungle gym, I built that. And the big red barn in the back, and I'm almost done with that. And then I'll have them repaint it. Just the hat, please. Did you want to sign up for a credit card program? You'll see.
And I think, you know, that is...
Talk about how much money they're making. These people are like, it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah. Yep. And it's funny, too, because I think the funny with lemonade, because it's like, I'm going to allow you to quench your
give you this little
thirst
bitty
while I
thing and
rob
get you
you
caught
of
up
money.
in this whole thing.
And I think the biggest thing when they said it'll be 10% today, so it'll be 10% today, 25 tomorrow, in the opposite direction. And so, you know, when you're checking out at Macy's, when you're checking out on Amazon,
time really is money. You know what I mean? He's doing his parody based upon, you know, what if you had to pay for things with your time? And it's like people don't realize. Like, I think about that. I mean, you do. Like, I'm like, oh, that's a whole hour worth of work I got to do, or oh, that's a, you know, just people don't.
And so that's the trap that we're stuck in, and that's the difference, especially when you get into some of these investor communities and some of these. You start to see how the wolves of Wall Street talk. They don't think about it as far as time. They think about it as far as what can I flip, who can I over, who can I manipulate, how can I get some money, some OPM, and in order to make this transaction or make whatever needs to happen to get this building, to get this thing done.
You know, I say all the time that marketing
in this,
is human manipulation. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yep.
How can I evoke some emotion? How can I make this person feel a way so that they'll come and buy my product that they probably do not need?
Call to action. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. They got to make you feel something, you know, and that same thing with cars, like the average ad, if it's not a BS SUV not sold by JD Power, but endorsed by JD Power ratings, and if it's not a pickup truck hauling the entire planet behind it, then it's some sports car ripping down the road, making you feel the emotion and the thrill that you would getting behind the wheel. All of these things you most likely will never do in this car. You will drive back and forth to the grocery store in your pickup truck. You will never drive over 80 miles around your sports car. And you're probably going to be depressed going back and forth from work to go pick up your kids in the drive-thru line.
And what it ends up doing to you, though, is the more debt you get into, the more anchored and chained you are to that job and getting that paycheck and making those payments. So now you feel like you can't do anything, you can't move, you can't, you know, let's say there's some opportunity that comes up and you want to go, I don't know, live somewhere else. You can't do that. You can't quit your job because you got all these bills. You got big bills. Big bills.
Go be a farmer in Panama or something. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
so the less baggage you carry, the easier it is to move through life, do what you want to do, be fluid.
Let's talk about this, though. Let's talk about this. The possibility, I think I asked this question one day when we were traveling. I said, so what, the American credit system, how far does that reach? How far does that follow you outside of the reaches of American, power, I guess?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure
I'm
not sure how it works in other countries, but I know going from other countries to here, it works. You know, when I used to provide asset management for Habitat for Humanity, and one of the complaints amongst the African American community, I worked for one of the largest affiliates in the Oakland, Silicon Valley, you know, this whole area we're talking about here. And one of the big things was that a lot of the people who were able to actually qualify, because in order to get a Habitat for Humanity house, that's the fraud. It ain't a free house. That's that's what a lot of people think. It's not a free house. It's just a home that has a mortgage that is based upon your income. They start with your income, what you can potentially afford, and then they get subsidies and donations and stuff for the rest. So So it's not a free house. You have a mortgage every month, but
I think that's how it should be.
you
I think every mortgage
you
should be like that.
still have to qualify based on credit, because a lot of the people, so what happens is the average American doesn't really have the best credit on average, so it was nothing but, I would say, probably 90% immigrants that were coming and getting those houses. They were coming with fresh credit reports because they didn't have a credit file. They would get a fresh either social security number if they became a citizen, or they would have a tax ID number. And that's, so whatever credit or whatever failings they may have had in their other country, we have no idea about that. We just go based upon, okay, since you've been here, you've been doing good. Okay. And so, so I don't know what it's like. I'm hoping that the same is true in other countries, because I want to go.
Well, let's talk about this real quick as we start to close out this episode. Is the American dream in part enforced by the credit system, managed by the criminal system? The education system is also the first pipeline to this. The health system, all these things are meant to track you from the moment that you leave the womb to the day you are put into the ground. There is a record attached to a number that also gives them an idea of who you may be whenever they come across you, will come across your body, come across you on the side of the road. It's the same thing they do in the military with dog tags. Now, I think what they want to do, especially with this new era, especially with Elon and the whole Neuralink thing and some of these other technologies that they're going to roll out for their ultra wealthy at first, are going to be focused on downloading consciousness and focused on saving and imprinting all the qualities that make you a human, for copywriting and obviously repurposing them into a robot for, why else would they do it? But once they're able to make it accessible and efficient enough for the poor and for their employees, for the slaves that are going to, manage the population in this dystopian society, hypothetically, I think that's going to be one of the things that they're going to mandate. And they're going to do it through the form of immunizations. They're going to do it through the form of vaccinations, through the form of all type of programming that they're going to need for you to be able to live in this society, in this system that is probably just going to be a big ass concentration camp funded by the billionaires of that we know today, So.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. You mentioned the education system, and I talk a lot about it in the book. And
if you don't put your kids in it, you're going to jail. What does that mean?
Yeah, why doesn't it show? There we go. I'll just have to put it in my face. But yeah, the living room, we talk about it. You can get it here. But the education system is not to educate. The education system is not to educate you as a human, as a soul, as a sovereign
it's a human
being.
Management pipeline.
It is only to prepare you for more matrix nonsense.
And to study you.
To prepare you to that too, to study you, to take, to get statistics.
So think about it.
You.
Think about it. The 3 systems are named. So we got, let's focus on 4. We got the military, we got the school system, we got the prison system, and then we got the health system. So they're able to study people through all 4 of these interconnected, realms. Also, you got education, not only just K through 12, we're talking about academia, big universities. We're talking about, these agencies like the National Science Foundation, National Institutes of Health, these funding sources that the government has. So all these webs kind of help create this network of things where they can test, probe, and then implement. So they may test things on prisoners in the military, things like radioactive, things like different biological warfare. They may test different prison tactics to eventually use into the school system and things like that. So, it's one of those things where being able to track you is so valuable. It's something called metadata. So anytime you ever take a picture on your phone, you send a text message, there's metadata. When you took it, where you were at the time, what you were doing on your phone, it's all tracked to it. And that data is valuable. For example, one of the things that I learned recently when it comes to some of these self-driving and different technologies, we program them by taking pictures.
The Waymos next time.
Pokemon Go. You remember that Pokemon Go phase? People were taking pictures of different monuments, important sites, city streets, and that was all used and sold to a company that now makes these type of virtual reality driving software, like, you know, all that type of stuff. So my point is that we have been being tested on this whole time. They gave you this phone and said, hey, we'll give you this for free. Right. We'll give you this for free. We'll give you social media for free.
We'll give you this for free, and then they turn around and use it to track you, to do everything.
Because the data is so valuable. It's so valuable.
Yeah. Nothing is free. There's an exchange. Right.
And so now I think we'll close out with the latest pushback that I'm glad people are standing up for are the flock cameras. So I want y'all to go look up flock cameras, look up Amazon and Flock, look up the Flock CEO, look up all these different jurisdictions and how they're
FLOCK.
FLOC, like a flock of seeing eye birds, looking down on their prey, looking down on their sheep. But basically, these are different camera systems that are using AI to track your movements, license plate readers. Also, ICE has obviously been using.
Oh, that's how people cars getting repoed.
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that it's the same readers? Type of. Yes. But Flock is a new system that is now more advanced and will also be using AI algorithms, not to say, hey, go repo this car, which is a basic, hey, you're in this place at this time, track it. Versus, hey, you've been moving around back and forth from such and such to such and such. We're gonna put a warrant out for your arrest just to see what's going on.
Right. You've been crossing the border from this non-legal cannabis state to this other state. Are you bringing anything back across the border? You've been crossing the border too much. You know what I mean?
Right. So they're gonna find different ways, and they're gonna use not your data, the entire United States of America, to find probabilities and make different assumptions and be able to use that in the court of law, because they're giving that information to the police in the case that they ask for it. And we probably know that they're already the ones funding this. And the reason why they can't do it as the police is because people will push back too much. So when you make it a private company, you're able to sidestep all the, obviously not all, because we're aware, we're pushing back on it, but most of the pushback because, hey, this is Flock. Let Flock do their thing. That's proprietary. That's the algorithm. We can't oversee AI driving because that would get away their trade secrets. We can't look at their data to see how many people crashed and died in testing. We're just going to believe them and let them put it on the roads. There's self-driving semi-trucks right now driving from Dallas to Houston on I-45.
Semi-trucks?
Semis. Self-driving semis already. There's multiple companies. This is a race. And so what they're trying to do is there's different types of routes, drivers that they take. There's this main two routes that are between like corridors and certain like hubs to where they don't have to drive a lot off of the main road. So they're going straight off the highway to like a big warehouse. And so those are the routes. They can't
get into anything too complicated.
Right. But those are the routes that drivers love. Those are the routes that older drivers have been on the waiting list for. Those are the good jobs because you just boom, bop, bop. You go back to your home, you get to go to sleep. And so now they're getting rid of the good jobs first. And this is the same thing that they're going to do in all industries. They're going to get rid of I didn't even say the good jobs, but the ones that are easiest to automate and start to slice out, cut you from the top end to bottom to where pretty much there's no middle. We know there's no middle class. There's not going to be no top, no bottom. It's just the lone survivors. This is going to be
eventually they'll just have jobs for people to just kind of monitor and oversee AI.
Specialize.
Make sure they don't, like
they're talking about this concept called platooning.
How the Waymos
platooning is where they have one driver for 5 semi trucks, not one driver, 5 trailers. One driver, and he's going to manage all 5 cars behind him to oversee any mishaps. And I was like, this is crazy. This is the only way that people are going to keep their jobs. If you are somehow tasked. So when something happens to one of those vehicles, you're the one going down. They're going to say, hey, this is driver error, even though the driver's not in the car. This is crazy, y'all. This is the fraud of the American dream. This is the fraud of American debt, and this is where we're headed. We're not going to have any options anymore. So I don't know what they expect us to do when it comes to buying their products, goods, and services when there's no jobs. So You know, let's push back on being surveilled. Let's push back on being tracked all the time. Decline the cookies. Ask, you know, if you care,
Oh,
don't
I
be
always
facially
decline the
recognized.
cookies. I always decline the cookies. I don't know why,
What
but
they say, don't get caught putting your hand in the cookie jar, dog.
reject
I
all
think it's
cookies.
funny they put it right in our face. The names of some of these technologies, the flocks, the cookies, the this, the that. It's just like, what are y'all doing back there, man? And the sad part is, one thing I realized once I started getting into stocks and trading is that the whole concept and idea of being a CEO, a leader, is basically just a lie. Lie, bold-faced, straight up in front of everybody's face, sound more confident, overpromise, and somehow find a way to make it happen on the balance sheet. Somehow find a way to make it happen on the bottom line. Hey, can we pull out some more margin on those houses? Hey, can you cut some more
wait a minute.
costs?
No. We can make this happen is code for you're going to make this happen some way, somehow, without any extra.
Right. What I'm saying is, you're talking about how CEOs, and they don't even really talk to y'all that much. I'm talking about what they say to the shareholders, the people that are funding them. They tell them, hey, I'll do whatever you need me to do. I will go skin the black off the backs of them people out in the field if it means the stock price will keep going up, because that's what the CEO's job is to do. Make the stock price go up. This is not about improving anything related to the quality of the product, the quality of their workforce.
Usually they try to figure out how can we reduce the quality enough to where it doesn't, you know, like it's still the thing, but people don't notice as much. And they often, you know, and the next thing you know, the price goes up, the packaging goes down, you know, the package sizes have gotten small. Like, it's just.
Oh, we can talk about that next episode too. There's a whole term for that. I'll have to pull it back up, but there's a term called it's called sizeflation or something. It's called stag sizeflation. There's some word for the item is still the same thing, but now it's in a smaller quantity, or the packaging has changed the size. Let's say the same, but what's actually inside the bag is different. So your standard cereal box may be, you know, whatever by whatever, and then it ends up being, you know, that net weight on the inside ends up being 10 grams less, 50 grams less. You know what I'm saying? So watch out when you're at the grocery store. Watch out for what you're getting.
Yeah, let's put that on the agenda for next episode. Food industry fraud. We'll get into food industry fraud.
And this is happening with not just food. I mean, all products pretty much, because a lot of food isn't even real. It's not even actual edible. It's actually industrial products and waste products that are being repurposed into food products. So this is happening not just in that stuff, but also a lot of the other items that we're buying, the cleaning products, you know what I'm saying? All the regular household things that we've been told that we need in order to be healthy and live. So, you know, today's the 23rd. We'll be back at y'all on the 30th. Or maybe this Sunday. We'll see what happens.
We'll be back.
But yeah, we can get into that.
We'll be back. Comment if you want us to come back.
Yep.
We got to start promoting so we can get our views up and everything. But all right, thank you so much for joining us today. We're gonna end the conversation. I'm tired. It's a lot going on, but you can get the Red Pill Book. The link for the app is in the App Store, redpillbook.com. Visit there. We thank you all. We love you all, and we wish the best for everyone.
Bless you now.
Good night. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I put